Greetings, everybody. I'd like to introduce you to Mark Sorensen, who is a friend of mine. He has been deeply involved in community-based Native American education for over 40 years as the lead administrator of Navajo schools and Native-led nonprofits serving Navajo, Hopi, and Apache students and families. Dr. Sorensen is co-founder and board president of the STAR, Service to All Relations School, the first off-grid solar and wind-powered school in the United States, located near the southwestern edge of the Navajo Nation in northern Arizona. For the past 15 years, STAR students have learned how to garden in the several greenhouses at the school that produce many vegetables that are served in the school cafeteria. Dr. Sorensen also is president of Painted Desert Demonstration Projects, which owns and operates the community well and several water filtration projects designed to bring clean, safe drinking water into the people of nearby tribal communities. Dr. Sorensen has a long-time commitment to community health as evidenced by his starting a school-based primary care clinic over 20 years ago and by his efforts to create a telemedicine office in a newly renovated building at the community well. Welcome, Mark. I'll start right away with what do you believe are the most critical elements for fostering culturally relevant and empowering educational environments within Native American communities?
Thank you, Liz. I appreciate having the opportunity to talk about this. I guess one of my understandings of my role in life is to, as much as I can, explain some of the experiences I've been through to non-Indian people so that there can be better understanding of what Native people are about and are going through. So, in response to your question, I would say over these many decades, what I have learned is the importance of recognizing the values that cause people in a culture to sustain themselves, even in the face of genocide and in the face of much discrimination. So Navajo people, like many Native people, have some solid values that are not that different from values in other cultures that sustain other cultures. Values like respect and the importance of relationships and the importance of being responsible and the importance of thinking things through before you act. So these are values that eventually, when I co-founded the Star School, we decided to build the school on these values. And so the values of respect, relationship, responsibility, and reasoning became the foundation. And of course, when you are teaching values, children are watching how you act. They're watching to see if you walk the talk. So one of the fundamental things that we have emphasized at our school is the importance of all the adults treating one another with those four values. So when the children see the adults treating one another that way, they're more likely to recognize the value as you treat them that way. So that's it in a nutshell. It's about these values that have sustained the people over time. And they come out of Navajo culture. But like I said, these are fairly universal values. And so we have a Navajo orientation to the values, but other schools serving other Native communities have used these values usefully. and they developed their own articulation of these values. But the concept that we've shared with other communities is the concept of living these values that have sustained the indigenous people over the centuries.
Excellent. Looking back, what is one specific educational program or initiative that you're most proud?
Well, when you look back over what is now nearly 50 years of my being involved in indigenous education, particularly Navajo education, there are many things that I'm proud of. But I think one thing that stands out is our teaching the children and the community about the ancient Navajo practice of peacemaking.
Mm.
Peacemaking is a method of resolving conflicts that predates European contact. So Navajos were practicing peacemaking before there were ever American courts or police or any of those types of Western institutions that are normally used to resolve conflicts. So the four values I mentioned earlier actually grow directly out of peacemaking. And I could go on in great detail talking about peacemaking, but that's it. That's it.
Well, that's good that you could, because it seems like our society and culture needs a little bit of a lesson or two.
Yes. Yes, that's kind of obvious, isn't it? I've often thought that, um, well, I should explain one of the fundamental core lessons of peacemaking is to treat everyone in the room to understand that in some way you are interrelated with the person you're having conflict with. So, one of the first steps in peacemaking is to recognize among everyone in the room uh, how you are interconnected. And in Navajo circles, there are the clans involved. So every Navajo person has four clans. Their mother's clan, they inherit their father's clan, their grandfather on their mother's side, and their grandfather on their father's side. So everyone has four clans. And so when you come into a room with other Navajos, one of the first things you do, in fact, if you're raised traditionally, you talk about your clans before you talk about your name. So this is very important because it identifies how you are related to the other people in the room. These may be people you've never met before, but if they have clans that are like yours, you might identify that they're your brother or your sister, or maybe even your mother or your father by clan. And and so one of the curious things about Navajo culture is by clan, you could have 100 mothers. You could have 100 fathers. You could have hundreds of brothers and sisters. So there's that focus on how we are related. And out of that relationship comes an understanding that we actually care about our relatives because our relatives help us in defining who we are.
So to hurt
So,
others, we hurt ourselves, kind of
yeah,
thing. Hmm.
exactly. The moment when transformation happens in a peacemaking session is when, in the case of children, is when uh, each of the children understand that the other person is themselves. You know, that if I hurt you, I'm hurting myself in a sense.
Beautiful, beautiful. So beyond the technical aspects of the off-grid power, how has the school's commitment to sustainability, like gardening, energy dependence, been integrated into the core curriculum and the daily lives of students?
Um, well, the um, the gardening is very interwoven in the curriculum. Students have regularly a gardening class, and right now we've taken it beyond gardening. So we have 6 sheep and 2 cows and 20 chickens. So the students are involved not only with growing plants and harvesting plants, but they're also involved in growing livestock because many of their families are growing livestock as well.
Hmm.
So there's a there's an effort on the part of our school not only to expose the children to living things that they need to take care of, which has a whole value in and of itself, but also to have a link with the lifestyle that they lead when they go home. So that's why we do it. Those 2 reasons.
Excellent. So providing clean, safe drinking water is a monumental task in many remote areas. Can you describe the most significant logistical or community engagement challenges you've encountered in these water projects?
Yeah, the concept of volunteerism is, I think, one of the most challenging and critical of the tasks of developing the water resources. The the community well is a deep well. It's about 1,200 feet deep, and so it needs care. And so we have to train people on how to run the well, pump, and do that kind of thing. But we don't make enough money selling the water because we sell it very cheap. We don't have enough money to pay people to do this. So we develop volunteers from the community and they distribute the water and gather the money in for the water. And then in return, they can get free water for themselves and their family. So we've done this for many years now, and it's working. And we to explain our school a little bit better, our school is half of our staff are native, and about 98% of our students are native. So it's really an Indian school. But we are established just a mile and a half from the border of the reservation. So we're on private land, and most of the families around the school are non-Indian.
Hmm.
So part of my purpose in doing the well the way that we've set it up is to make sure that people, white people in particular, understand that we're all one community, that the native families and the non-native families all rely on this water. It's life-giving. And that's been a challenge, but we found that water is a great equalizer. So it's turned out well.
Yeah, speak more of how water is a great equalizer, please.
Well, we're in a high desert, and very few people in the community, in fact, none of the people, I don't have water supplied by a utility. There's no utility supplying water to the school. We have our own well at the school, but I have to haul water to my place. And virtually everybody in the surrounding area has to haul water for their own needs.
Hmm.
So if we didn't have the well providing water on a reliable basis, people would have to drive 25 miles into Flagstaff. It's 25 miles from here. It's even further from out on the reservation. And they'd have to haul water all that way. So it becomes almost impossible for people who have full-time jobs and who don't have that much spare money to hire somebody to do it. So the well is life. Water is life. That's a phrase. To e ina is a Navajo phrase. It means water is life.
Hmm. Nice. How do you approach balancing immediate health needs with long-term sustainable health infrastructure development in the communities you serve?
Um, well, the um, the fundamental health challenges uh, among Navajos are diabetes and heart health. And both of those are impacted by lifestyle. So one of the reasons we started the gardening program, one of the fundamental reasons was because of what I was aware of with the health of the families. So the the families who were suffering from diabetes, I did a survey many years ago among the students, and I asked them to raise their hands to tell me how many of them had somebody in their family who was affected by diabetes, and every one of them raised their hand. So, so it's a significant health problem, and it's diet related and exercise related. And we also added water to that. So clean water, initially, that effort to have clean water was designed to be to impact the health of the families. And what we found is that children learning how to garden and learning about water, the necessary aspects of drinking plenty of water and not so much soda, we found that they could be vectors of change in the family. If the students themselves developed those values, their parents would listen to them.
Hmm. Sounds like a good idea.
It
Well,
worked. Indigenous people like the Hopi, for example, have been warning for centuries that we're we're going to be at a crossroads where we have to choose either to be selfish and self-serving or choose to be recognizing our interrelatedness and compassion. And one of those paths leads to a beautiful future, and one of those paths leads to destruction.
hmm.
So there's been the message among many native cultures for a long time that the earth is a living being. And, I think even though there's a lot of focus on climate change, a lot of people still don't view the earth as a living being. A lot of people in dominant culture. So until that can be looked at and taken seriously, um, I don't think we're on a path of repairing it.
Okay. Well, it looks like our time is just about up. But I want to thank you again for all of your insight and for everything you've done and putting Arizona on the map when it comes to this amazing school. The only, how is it stated? The only,
It was the first um,
oh,
public school to be powered entirely off grid by the
really?
solar and wind.
That's pretty amazing.
Hmm.
That's quite a legacy,
It's
Mark.
disappointing that there aren't more now after we've been in existence now for 24 years. I would have hoped that there would be more examples now, but here we are, and we're still standing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's impressive, and that's quite a legacy. Well, again, thank you for your time, and I'll let you get back with the rest of your day, and it was good talking to you again.
Thank you, Liz.
Okay, see
Appreciate
you,
it.
Mark.